Welcome to Spiritual Basics Podcast with April and Jen, a bi-monthly podcast designed to teach the searchers, seekers, and spiritually curious the basics of metaphysics and New Thought. They are all about the basics, but they are not basic bitches. Now, here are your hosts, April Darley and Jen Merkel.
Hello and welcome to Spiritual Basics Podcast with April and Jen. My name is Jen Merkel. I am a transformational life coach and certified hypnosis practitioner. You can learn more about me and sign up for my wellness newsletter at jenmerkelhypnosis.com.
And I'm April Darley, your magical mindset coach. You can learn more about magic mindset over at my website, aprildarley.com, and you're welcome to sign up for my magical newsletter as well.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Whether you are a new listener or if you are one of our loyal fans, we appreciate you. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, follow, and tell your friends about us, because word of mouth is one of the best ways to learn about podcasts. I know that's how I learn about podcasts a lot. So April and I have a little, normally we do a little chat at the beginning with our update, but I think we've got a little something different today.
Yeah, big life decision. Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know about that.
It's a big decision based on our lives, right? So Jen and I are super busy right now. We have a lot of spinning plates. I can, balls in the air, spinning plates, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And we've decided to temporarily step back and go on hiatus for a few months just to get some things squared away.
Yeah, for the podcast. I mean, doing this podcast is one of my favorite things because I have April time for one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of one-on-one with you, but also I just love it. I mean, the things we talk about are so much fun and I love working on it and I love recording it and it's just really amazing. So it's kind of hard, but we're not giving it up forever. We're just saying it has to take a back seat for a little while because some of the things that we have going on in our lives right now.
Yes. So we have left you this magnificent library of past episodes to go through. I mean, literally, Jen and I were trying to figure out what are some of our favorites. And it was so hard. So we have left you plenty of content to keep you warm on these dark nights to come until we are back to bring you some spiritual love and light.
Yeah, and we plan that to be somewhere around early 2022. So if you're catching us in like December, then hey, we'll be back really soon.
Yeah.
You can always reach out to us at our website, spiritualbasicspodcast.com. Leave us a voice message or send us a note there or by email, spiritualbasicspodcast@gmail.com. So let's just get to today's episode, which is all about your life path number.
Mm-hmm.
I just love numerology like so much. I think, April, you're doing a really super intense, like there's no other way to describe it, astrology program.
Yes.
And I think once things calm down for me a little bit, I really want to look into numerology even more because even just doing the research for this episode, I love it so much, like just getting into it. And, I'm not like a math person and you don't need a whole lot of math. I mean, if you have a calculator, you don't need to know math at all. But it's just something about how the numbers come together. And I really love patterns and like the meanings that come out of them. So I think that's another reason why, I love to play cards. I love games with dice. I'm always the scorekeeper when I'm playing games with people, that kind of stuff. There's something about numbers. And as you know, I'm a real big fan of Excel spreadsheets. I know you know that. So just something about that. And I'm not like, I'm a super creative person. So I'm not like that accountant type, but man, I'm just a nerd for stats and stuff like that. It's just crazy. I don't know where that comes from.
I'm going to take an in-depth look at your chart and we're going to figure that out. This is going to be a girls' night where we just go through that and we'll figure some stuff out.
Totally. We'll have to, because I don't know where it comes from. It's not, I don't think it's an Aquarius thing. It seems like maybe a Virgo thing, but I don't really have a big presence of Virgo in my chart at all. So
I'm learning how layered and nuanced astrology actually is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably in some of the layers 2 or 3 layers deep, that it's not immediately apparent on the surface, but when we start cross-referencing things, it's probably when it'll come out. So I can't wait to dig in to your chart.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit first about some of the resources we use for this episode and things that we recommend that you check out, especially if you love this stuff as much as I do. So astroseek.com, which is astro-seek.com, is a website that we often tout for astrology. It's, like our go-to, like our last episode we did was about your, like, the stuff you can find in your natal chart.
Yeah.
And it's like, go to AstroSeek, you can get so much information. They do have a numerology calculator. But what I found was there's a website called World Numerology, and it is worldnumerology.com. And they call it a course, but it's more like, it's almost like an ebook by page with a whole bunch of in-depth info. And that's where we got a lot of the information for today, but there's so much more to it. And one thing that they have that's really cool is a calculator that will help to calculate different things. And we'll talk about the different things you can learn through numerology, even though our concentration tonight really is in life path numbers. Also, a book that I have that I just recently got is called Numerology and the Divine Triangle. And that's by Faith Javon and Dusty Bunker. And I'll be honest, they have this, the two of them, it's quite an old book. I think it's from the 1990s even, but they have this thing they call the Divine Triangle, and I think it was a concept that they came up with. And I'll be honest, I don't really wrap my head around that part of it, but the part of the book where they have all the numerology stuff is really good stuff. And they've got a lot of in-depth things, and I'll reference that a little bit later when I talk about some other things. All right, so let's start at the beginning, how to calculate your life path number based upon your birth date. And just so you know, there's a lot more in-depth numerology things, and readings can include calculations based on your name. You can get that info with the World Numerology Calculator I just referenced. And if you're unsure, for example, like let's say you were adopted, then use the date on your birth certificate to calculate. So there are two primary methods. There's what is the easier method. It's not really, the other one isn't complicated, but it's called the simplified method for a reason. Actually, it's not really considered the correct method by traditional professional numerologists, but it's kind of gets the job done, but it can make a difference. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. All you do basically is add up the digits in your birth date and then reduce the total to a single digit number or a master number. So I'm going to use Karma as an example because April and I really don't want to publicize our personal information to the interwebs. So for Karma, she was born on July 30th of 2019.
And if you don't know, Karma is Jen's beloved dog.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
If you're a new listener.
You're like, Karma. Yeah. So Karma's birth date is 7/30/2019. So you add 7 for July. And then you've got +3 + 0 because it's 30. And then +2 + 0 + 1 + 9. And doing that in a calculator, you come up with 22. Now, what's interesting, we'll talk about master numbers in a minute, but 22 is one of those master numbers. And in that case, you would stop. And the other method, which professional numerologists use, is called the 3-cycle method. And that's based upon the premise that your day, month, and year of birth bring different energies. So breaking them down individually is really important in that case. It will usually net the same results as the simplified method, but not always. It could also mean the difference between you're having a regular number versus a master number or a karmic debt number. So let's talk about calculating that. First, you reduce the month, which for Karma would be the number 7, and then the day, which is 30. So it's 3 + 0, which is 3. And then the year individually. So hers would be 2 + 0 + 1 + 9, which equals 12. Now, in that case, you would further reduce that to a single number. So the 12 is 1 + 2, right? And then that becomes 3. So you take her month of 7, her day of 3, and her year of 3, add those up, and you get 13. and then further reduce the 1 and the 3 to be 4, because 1 plus 3 is 4. So interestingly enough, if you remember I did the simplified method, she was a 22, which is a master number, but the number 4 is not a master number. So that's where it could be the difference in, when in the calculation. And just for giggles, when I do the simplified method, I am a 27, which reduces to a 9. But in the actual proper 3-cycle method, I'm a 9. So we'll talk about that in a little bit again. Actually, we'll talk about it now. Double digits. So I just mentioned how I'm a 27. They call it a 27/9. So if your number first reduces to a double digit, for example, karma is reduced to a 13 a minute ago, that number has a more specific meaning on top of the general 1-digit meaning. Now, the thing is, in my case, like I said, it reduces to 27. You still add the 2 plus a 7 to get the 9, but the 27 itself has its own more specific meaning on top of just the 9. Plus, it also means I have a bit of the 2 and a bit of the 7. And April, you are a 16/7. And just like Karma's a 13/4. And we'll talk about what those numbers mean. They have some special significance as well, besides just being double digits. Now, we don't have time to go into all the double digit numbers because we'd be here, until next week, because, they go up to 99, I would think, right? I don't know, but you can learn more about it with research or by getting a professional numerology reading. Let's talk about master numbers for a minute. Like I mentioned, Karma came down to a master number of 22. The number 11 and the number 33 are also master numbers. So if you get to one of these numbers, these are the only numbers that you don't further reduce, are those 3, 11, 22, and 33. And that's because they do have special meaning. So if you do a calculation and find out that you're down to 11, you don't add the 1 and the 1 to get a 2, you're an 11. Master numbers have special influence and more of an effect, and they also indicate extra wisdom and insight. And master numbers are more powerful, but also much more intense and demanding. And we'll be talking about those individual master numbers in a minute.
So speaking of intense, we're going to talk about karmic debt numbers. And those are 13, 14, 16, and 19. So me and little Karma got some karmic debt numbers. Karma's got karma.
Yeah, even using the proper method, 3-step method, that
right?
karma gets reduced to 13. Yep.
Yeah.
And you were
16.
16, isn't that right?
Yeah, 16/7. So me and baby Karma got some karmic debt. All right. So if you get one of these numbers, make note of it, but then continue to break them down. So for example, I'm a 16, but you would want to add that 1 plus 6. There is some karmic debt being carried out in this lifetime when you have one of these special numbers. So if you have a karmic debt number, you'll want to pay attention to each of them. So for example, number 16 will have characteristics of both the 1 and the 6. So you also have something called the power numbers. Those sound way more exciting than karmic debt numbers. The power numbers are 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, and 99. The attribute of each digit is multiplied, so you are extra, whatever that number is. So, for example, the number 44 has the doubled up power of the pragmatic number 4, which is extremely methodical and focused, and is the perfect foundation for a highly impressive number 8, which is results oriented, career and business focused. And these are still broken down, unlike master numbers, which are left whole in double digit form.
Right. So if you came down to 44, you would be a 44/8. So a couple other notes on numbers before we get to the individual number meanings. Life path numbers are sometimes called life's lesson numbers by many numerologists. And there is a lot more to numerology than just how your birth date adds up. For example, you can figure out your personal number, which is adding the letters in your name because each letter has a number associated with it. There's also a soul number by adding up the vowels in your name. And of course, other things like outer personality number, personal destiny number, personal year, career number, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on forever. Lots to look at there. So let's start at the beginning with number 1. Ones are natural leaders. They're very courageous and inspiring, active, creative. It's a very powerful life path number. They have a unique approach to problems, and they're not afraid to march to their own drum or stray off the path. They have a lot of determination to succeed, very good management skills. They might achieve a high status in their career or social life, and they're most happy when they're autonomous. So something like owning their own business, entrepreneurs. Individuality is very important to them. After all, it is the number 1. And they may find themselves flying solo a lot. They might not get help or support from others and be lonely. I mean, 1 is the loneliest number, right?
Wah, wah.
However, they do often seek out competition sports as a way to fulfill their need to succeed, especially like non-team sports like running, swimming, maybe tennis. They do crave praise because they want to be number 1. They are number 1. They can appear domineering and may feel superior and or be stubborn. Sometimes they will lose patience with others' weaknesses as well as their own, and they can be very vindictive. Now, sometimes a 1 is a karmic number 19. So again, if you calculate your numbers and you come out to number 19, you have to make note of that before you add them together to get 10 and reduce to 1. So a karmic debt number 19, they have both the characteristics of the number 1 and the number 9. So pay attention when we talk about 9s later. But the number 19 karmic debt number is about relying on others. So you may, if you have this as your karmic debt number, you may see many life lessons about how your natural need for independence can hurt you. Perhaps you adamantly resist offers of help. Number 19s are often stubborn about doing things their own way and disregard advice and assistance from others. So if you think about that, I mean, a lot of that it seems like a more intense version of a number 1 that I just talked about. So you can kind of see how that really is related. Let's talk about number 2s now. This is actually the rarest life path number. It's very special because the only way to get to a 2 is with an ending number of 20, because it's not possible to have your complete birth date add up to a 2. So it would have to add up to 20. And if you remember, like a 1 + 1 = 2, but 11's a master number, so you don't further reduce it. So numbers 2s are very rare. They are very empathic and highly sensitive to others, as well as perceptive. And they're also very intuitive. They're the peacemakers, they're diplomatic, good at resolving conflicts because they understand the feelings and needs of all parties. I feel like this definitely has the flavor of Libra and also the number 2 in Tarot. Because they're so sensitive, their feelings might be hurt easily. Again, very Libra. And they may not get proper credit for the work they do and will need to stand up for themselves. Often they do great work as healers, especially massage therapists, acupuncturists. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Acupuncturists.
Yes.
Physical therapists and counselors. Friends love them for their peaceful and calming nature, and they serve as a safe place for others. So they'll often be the first call someone has when something tragic happens. They also love harmony. They're very artistic and have an appreciation for music and poetry because of their balance and rhythm.
All right, so let's move on to number 3s. So the 3s are creative, passionate, charming, romantic, and fun. They have a strong desire to express themselves, especially when it involves their feelings, ideas, or creativity. Others might consider them to be optimistic, extroverted, or even lucky due to their charm and charisma. So, although 3s are pretty creative with plenty of ideas, they might be unfocused, procrastinate, or even have trouble with follow through. They'll need to develop patience and discipline to push through these challenges. In relationships, 3s attract others easily and love to have fun. However, settling down or deeper commitments may be an issue due to fears of being vulnerable and insecurity. So, this kind of reminds me of like a Gemini or a Sagittarius.
I was going to say
right? Yeah.
Sagittarius. Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
career-wise, if you're 3, you would make an excellent writer, journalist, social media influencer, artist, or in public relations. So, we have next the number 4s. And I'm going to tell you straight up, when I was doing the research for this, I'm like, oh, this is a Taurus. This is just a Taurus. But a 4 is trustworthy, patient, dependable, hardworking, and down to earth. The 4s prefer steady, constant progress or routines that provide them with a sense of security and stability. They're confident and speak with authority, but can be slow to adapt to changes or new information. Hello, Taurus, right? I'm a Taurus, so it's not like I'm bagging on all the Taurians out there. I own this. The 4s can be introverted and prefer quality over quantity. They're very observant and detail oriented, and they prefer to be in comfortable, orderly environments and may experience anxiety if they're in a cluttered or chaotic situation. In terms of career, the 4s often seek something that provides logic, order, and discipline, such as military administration or careers involving high levels of organization. In relationships, they're loyal, honest, and committed, and this is what they seek in their partners. They value loyal partners and will do what it takes to make the relationship work. However, if someone isn't a match for them, they are not afraid to break things off and move on to a more compatible match. Now, along with the 4s, you do get that karmic number 1, 3, 13, that 1 plus 3. So it does have characteristics of both the 1 and the 3. Now, as a 13, you are very resilient and you'll face many challenges, but you'll overcome them. The greatest challenge of a 13 is not to give up when they feel like things are futile and pointless. It's really that lesson of don't give up because the goal of what you've been seeking is right there. It's like right around the corner. So that is really something that 13s may face quite often. And the key to working harmoniously with this number is to focus on a single task or goal without getting distracted or giving up. Stay focused, organized, and do follow through on your commitments. Avoid procrastination, and you can enhance your life and tackle any challenge.
Okay, on to the number 5, life path number 5. These are freedom loving. They love to travel. They love adventure. They like variety and change. Sounds very fiery.
Right?
They also love meeting new people and they make friends very easily. 5s also have upbeat personalities that inspire others. And great careers for 5s are sales, advertising, PR, politics, very good communication skills. Sometimes 5s are late bloomers when it comes to career because they need to try out a lot of different experiences before finding their true passion. Sounds like my son, but it's not him. 5s might have a hard time finding a single partner to commit to, but once they do, they're usually very loyal and faithful. I'm feeling Leo energy here.
Yeah, I agree.
Off. That's why it feels like my son to me because he's a Leo. Fives fives often have a lot of irons in the fire as long as they aren't tied down to one thing for too long. They can get very distracted and be unfocused. They also might tend to have a lot of unfinished projects. 5s can lack discipline and order. It might be impulsive, which sometimes cause regrets later. They are also highly sensory. They savor life and really enjoy things like good food, good sex. However, this can sometimes be a downfall for them because they may be prone to addictions and overindulgences. Now, a 5 is sometimes a karmic number 14. Again, if you reduce down to 1 to 14, you add the 1 to 40, you're a 5. Karmic 14s, again, they have the characteristics of both the 1 and the 4, and their life lesson is to learn to be flexible and adapt to unexpected events while staying focused on their life goals. They see a lot of ups and downs in life, and the test will be their ability to commit but still maintain their faith. All right, on to number 6. 6 is the caretaker. Service to others is important to them. They have a soft heart for the weak and downtrodden. They are very compassionate. They're healers, helpers, nurturers, very charismatic, very charming. Their task in life is to develop the skills to help others rather than simply being a shoulder to cry on. Also, finding the balance between helping and interfering. teaching others to help themselves rather than trying to solve the problems for them. Sixes are willing to make sacrifices and take on responsibility, filling in any gaps left by others. They do need to be careful not to overburden themselves or carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. You can't fix everything. This also has a little bit of a 9 vibe here, which we'll get to in a little bit. Sixes find a life of marriage and family very appealing, and they're great with children. This is Cancer energy. Do you think?
I was also feeling a little bit of Libra or Virgo in that.
Yeah. Sixes might be attracted to the weak and downtrodden because of their desire to help them in relationships, and they might choose a partner based on sentimentality. Sixes are also very creative. They're talented, especially in music and visual arts. They can easily make a career in these fields, and they're often complimented by others for their skills, but sometimes they don't feel deserving of that praise.
All right, so now we're going to get to the 7, which is me. Let's see if you listeners think this is me, right? All right, so number 7, you can be introverted, shy, intellectual, spiritual, and intuitive. You are nicknamed the Seeker. 7s have a passionate desire to understand how things work. They're often introspective and pursue knowledge or higher learning, as well as using their intuition to understand the world around them as well as the divine. Although 7s are very spiritual, they aren't necessarily religious. They prefer to find their own answers and don't do well with disciplined, rigid, or authoritarian systems. This life path number corresponds to the Hermit card in the tarot, as they're often solitary seekers of knowledge, truth, and spirituality. So the 7s do remind me a bit of Aquarius.
Yeah, the last thing you just mentioned does sound a lot like Aquarius, but Aquarius, their tarot card is the Star because of their, pouring out of knowledge. But yeah, definitely a lot of that vibe.
So in relationships, the 7s enjoy getting to know someone on a deep level, but it will only last with others who have a similar mindset. It can be hard for them to form lasting bonds due to their need for introspection and solitude. So great professions for a 7 are professions that require research, analysis, and problem solving. Careers in academia, science, military strategists or analysts, laboratory research, police work, or CSI are all favored. Can you see me as a CSI? Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. All right. Now, if you are 7, you might break down and have that karmic 16. I do. I'm a 16/7. So if so, you have the characteristics of a 1 and a 6. But this is a number that's all about destruction and rebirth. And coincidentally, 16 is the number of the tarot card, the Tower. And it's very much got that sort of tower vibe.
Wow.
As well.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this number is about destruction and rebirth. This destruction and rebirth cycle involves destroying your ego and connecting you with your higher consciousness. And much like the Tower, that ego is the false foundation that we build our life on. And that Tower card is all about, what is anything that's not built on a firm foundation, it's going to crumble. And that's kind of what you see in this number as well. So this destruction of the ego, this transformation, this destruction, rebirth, it's going to affect every area of your life. And you may feel resentful or even frustrated by disrupted plans. But the key to success with this number is to surrender, have faith, broaden your outlook in your life, work on your own spirituality, develop your intuition, and be open to change. Now, let's move on to number 8. So 8s are ambitious, goal-oriented, focused, abundant, hard workers, strong leaders, and practical. The 8s have a strong desire to succeed, and they have big goals and take great pleasure in achieving them. 8 is the number of abundance, and they can achieve great wealth through hard work. They're considered excellent leaders, but may have trouble with others in authority because they don't like being told what to do. This reminds me of a Capricorn so much. 8s can be prone to stress-related ailments and need to make work-life balance a priority. Due to their hardworking and committed nature, they dedicate time to their relationships, but they may approach them in more of an intellectual rather than a romantic way.
Totally Capricorn.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So careers that require leadership, discipline, and independence are often favored, such as CEOs, surgeons, bankers, being a general in the military, lawyers, judges, and even entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it seems a lot like the Emperor card, huh?
Yeah, right?
All right, let's talk about number 9. And by the way, we still have a couple other numbers too. I know it seems like we might be at the end, but there's still some other numbers to talk about here. So, number 9 is my life path number. And it's interestingly enough, they are called the humanitarian, which is a double
Shocker.
whammy for me because I'm an Aquarius sun. 9s also tend to be philanthropical. Is that even a word? Philanthropical?
Philanthropical, yes.
Okay. They're also very utopian. They like to work to make the world better. By the way, April, listen to this next paragraph and tell me if it sounds like me.
All right.
They strive for perfection, and they're often disappointed and saddened by the state of the world. They're non-judgmental, but unaccepting of social biases. They're a champion for justice, and their life challenge is to learn to accept things that cannot be changed and find a way to go on with and enjoy life despite its disappointments. It's something that I'm really going through this year.
Yeah.
It's getting better,
Good.
but yeah. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but when I was writing this up, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm such a 9. 9s also find a lot of satisfaction in giving. They often have a strong inner need for self-sacrifice. They're also really good at objective self-evaluation. So that basically means they're talented at finding themselves and establishing an equilibrium. 9s are really good about seeing the big picture, and a lot of them are also lucky with money. Basically, it comes to them in uncommon ways, like maybe inheritance, unexpected windfalls, or unusual investment payoffs, or just winning it. But ironically, if a 9 chases after money, like out of greed or desperation, they won't likely have good results. This is because their core is about sacrificing for the greater good and truly expecting nothing in return. Again, this is very much me. I'm one of those people that, like, I don't know that I would say I was lucky with money, but when I need money, it's there. And I try not to be desperate about it, because if I get desperate about it, it doesn't come. So definitely I can relate to this. 9s are really good at careers like interior decorating, landscape art, or photography because it'll satisfy their strong imaginative and creative abilities. Alternatively, a 9 would also be happy in a vocation in a social cause or helping a community, like a politician, attorney, judge, minister, even a healer, teacher, or environmentalist. Sometimes I feel like I'm all of the above.
Yes.
So there is no 10. Like, you think 10 comes after 9, but again, you need to reduce that number down. So if you get to 10, really it's a 1. So we're not going to spend any time on the number 10. But the number 11 is very special. It's one of those master numbers. So 11s are highly intuitive and energetic in an ethereal sense. So not necessarily physically. 11s inspire others unintentionally with very little effort and unknowingly. Energy just naturally flows through an 11, though that sometimes means emotional turmoil for them. 11s serve as a channel of information between the higher and lower dimensions and the conscious and unconscious. Ideas and insight flow to 11s without any effort, and they have a natural psychic ability. Now, 11s are a double-edged sword. Just if you think the 1 and the 1 right next to each other kind of has that vibe. They have powerful abilities, but they're also very self-conscious and are constantly and uncomfortably self-aware that they stand out. They often feel out of place. They are also ambitious, but they might have a strong lack of inner confidence. And word to the wise, don't cross an 11, because if they're emotionally wounded, they will lash out at you with personal criticisms and a very hurtful, vindictive nature. 11s are destined to be spiritual leaders, spiritual thought leaders, but it's important for them to spend time in self-development first, which takes a lot of time. An 11's high self-expectations might make them frustrated in their tendency to develop more slowly. The challenge here for an 11 is it can lead to deep depression if it gets out of hand. Stress from this inner conflict can also cause problems in the nervous system. So for 11s, it's super important to find balance with things like meditation, relaxing music, or yoga. Fitting careers for an 11 might be as an inventor, artist, or spiritual leader. 11s are natural healers, so they might excel as a massage therapist, acupuncturist, physical therapist, or counselor.
So now we're going to work up to 22. So 22s are known as the master builder, who is able to turn dreams into reality. And 22s have the advantage of the inspirational insight of the 11s, coupled with the practical and methodical nature of the 4s.
So the reason why we're saying they have the methodical nature of the 4 is because 2 + 2 = 4. So even though you don't further break that down, it still has that flavor of the 4.
So the life purpose of a 22 is to serve the world in a major way. They're extremely dedicated workers, which is that 4 type energy you get in there, and passionate about helping others and improving humankind in some way. 22s make great leaders and cooperate well with others. However, they need validation from others that they're doing a good job. They're extremely ambitious and need to learn to balance work and play. They may also experience some internal pressure to succeed because they know they have a really big purpose to fulfill. All right. And last but certainly not least is number 33, the master teacher. This number is considered to be the most influential of all the numbers as it combines the master numbers of 11 and 22. However, this number is very rare. They're extremely devoted, and their purpose is to spiritually uplift humanity and teach others to connect with their own heart and consciousness. The 33 life path can feel like both a blessing and a curse because while they're very empathetic and spiritual, they often become that way through experiencing and overcoming many hardships and challenges in life. One of the greatest lessons of a 33 is to learn how to heal themselves so that they can heal others. The 33s make excellent romantic partners because they really listen to their partners and offer unparalleled emotional support.
So that is our episode on life path numbers. We hope you learned something about yourself and other people that you care about, and we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and send us a note and let us know what you think. And we do look forward to seeing you again at the beginning of 2022. We wish you all the best and look forward to bringing you another awesome episode.
All right, we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.
This has been Spiritual Basics Podcast with April and Jen. Find full episodes on your favorite listening platform or visit spiritualbasicspodcast.com.